Now that you finish the first 4 rows doing the seed stitch, alternating between knit and purl, we're getting to the part where we're going to start making the area in the middle to embroider. So to flank that, we're still going to have 4 stitches from the front and 4 stitches at the end that we'll do in the alternating knit purl to keep that border going. I sometimes forget when I need to switch between doing all knitting versus alternating knit purl. So one way that you can help remind yourself when you need to switch that won't affect how it turns out is to get a different color of string. It doesn't even have to be this long, and make a slip knot. And just tie it around your finger, 2 of them, because there are 2 places where you're going to need to switch between alternating and just straight knitting or purling. So this is the 5th row. I'm going to start with the knit, knit, purl. So knit, purl, knit, purl. And so now this, I've done 4 stitches. This is where I'm going to need to switch to doing all knitting. So to remind myself of that for the future rows, I'm going to just slide one of those slip knots that's in the different color onto my right hand needle so that it'll be there anytime that I'm doing the next rows, and I can just slip it to the needle whenever I get to it. So now I'm going to continue doing knitting for the next stitches until I get to the last 4 stitches. So continuous knitting, I will never bring the yarn around to the front like I do for purling. So you can just go from front to back, counterclockwise around, pull it through, stitch from the left needle off. And I'm looking out for when I'm going to get to the last 4 stitches on my left hand needle. So now there are 4 stitches left. I know that this is a time when I'm going to switch, and I'm going to be switching for the next several rows. So I'm going to go ahead and put my second different colored yarn, slip it onto my right needle, and then do the seed stitch for my last 4. Knit, purl, knit, purl. And then for the next row, this is the 6th row, I'll be starting with purl, knit, and then doing all purls between the white yarn. And so I'll just show you how to slip this off so that you don't incorporate it. Purl, knit, purl, knit. Then I get to my different color yarn. I know that I'm going to need to switch to doing all purls. So to not incorporate this yarn, I'm not going to use my working yarn to do anything with it. I'm just going to slip it from my left needle to my right needle. And now I know that I'm switching to all purling. And you'll start to see that when you're doing the all purling, this part in the middle, it will look like there are just a bunch of horizontal lines along here. And that'll also kind of serve as a reminder of if you should be knitting or purling, if you forget or lose track of what row you're on. So here for the purling, going back to front, counterclockwise around, pulling through from front to back, pulling off the left needle, then I get to this other color yarn again. I know that I need to change from doing all purling to doing purl knit to make the border. So I again slip from left to right needle, my different colored yarn, and now I can keep going. Purl, knit, purl, knit. And this yarn, it's not going to affect my final product because I haven't incorporated it. It just kind of looks like it there. But as you keep going, as long as you don't use your working yarn to knit or purl through it, it'll just stay on the needles and you can just take it off whenever you want. And you don't even need it. I just think that it's helpful to remind me when I need to switch so I don't have to pay attention to when I get to the last 4 or the first 4. And so since we've done 2 rows, you can already start to see that in the middle between the white pieces of yarn, you can see it change in the pattern and start to see those V's that we were embroidering.